Good morning, Power Reading. Today is Monday, May 18th. Today's article will be for today and tomorrow. One article, one assignment for these 2 days. Today's number 56 and 57 because it's 2 articles. What is human trafficking? Let's read the directions. Read and annotate the article, then complete the ELA writing and quiz. Today we're going to read at level 630. What is human trafficking? This article was written in 2017, December 2017, so about 2.5 years ago. But the information is still relevant, still important. Editor's note. Remember, when we see this in italics, it is something that is not in the main part of the article, but is some sort of detail or information that you need to know before you read the article. So it's always important to read this so you have a better understanding of what you're going to read in the article. The following article discusses some very mature topics that may be upsetting to some students, including human trafficking and sex slavery. News ELA publishes articles like these because we believe in the importance of global awareness. However, the article may not be right for all students. Around the world, there are men, women, and children who are forced to work. This work is against their will. It is called human trafficking or modern slavery. People are forced or tricked into different types of slavery. It may include working in people's homes. It can also include work that is against the law. One example is prostitution. In many countries, prostitution is illegal. Prostitution means when someone has sex for money, or they do some kind of sexual act. Victims may be taken to other countries and forced to work. It can also happen in their own hometowns. Human trafficking is a serious crime. Governments and groups around the world are working together to stop it. They also want to help victims. How common is human trafficking? It is hard to know exactly how many people are victims of human trafficking. Estimates of the number of victims are in the tens of millions, like 10 million, 11 million, 15 million. More than half are women and girls. 1/4 of them are children. There are many different types of human trafficking. So before we go into the types, we're going to go back up and we're going to look at this infographic. So, human trafficking is a global problem. This here is New York City. New York State. New York City is down here. The estimated number of victims of human trafficking around the world is slightly higher than the population of the state of New York. So that means 20.9 million people in the world, which is the same amount of people that live in our state, are victims of human trafficking. 139 goods are commonly produced by child and forced labor, including bricks, like to build houses. Bricks are, for example, you see outside the window what that building is made of? Those are bricks. Cotton, which is where our clothes come from. Cattle, which is, horses, cows. Gold, diamonds, shoes, clothes, coffee, and sugar cane. Of those nearly 21 million people, 68% of people are working in forced labor. 26% are children. 55% are women and girls. $150 billion is the estimated amount of money made from human trafficking worldwide. California, Texas, Florida, and New York have high rates of human trafficking. In the United States, human trafficking has been reported in all 50 states. The United States is a source, destination, and transit point for trafficking victims. 31,600 cases reported to the National Human Trafficking Hotline in the last 8 years. 1 in 3 young people is solicited for sex within 48 hours of running away or becoming homeless in the United States. So to make it smaller again, you just push that. Okay, let's go back to our examples. We start here, sex trafficking. So, we're going to read about the different types of human trafficking. Sex trafficking. Adults and children may be forced into prostitution. This is sex trafficking. Sex trafficking hurts victims of all ages. The victims may be infected with diseases. They may turn to harmful drugs. Most face serious mental harm too. Forced labor, a second type. Forced labor is making someone work. This happens through threats, force, and breaking laws that protect workers' rights. Migrants are people who come into one country from another to work. They are particularly at risk. A person may offer to transport someone from one country to another. They may force someone to work in exchange for helping them make the journey. The conditions of these trips are often very unsafe. Bonded labor or debt bondage. Traffickers use threats to force their victims to work. One way is by making them believe they have a debt to pay. Sometimes this debt is from family members. Other times the debt is tied to the victim's job. Often the debt is very high. It cannot be paid completely. So this could be done, for example, by if they pay, so someone pays a plane ticket for a person to come to another country, and then they take their passport and they force them to work to pay for the plane ticket, but they don't give them enough money to ever pay enough of the plane ticket, so they continue to work like a slave. Domestic servitude. Forced work in someone's home is another form of human trafficking. This happens when a worker is not free to leave. Often these workers are paid very little. They may not be paid at all. Children and adults are victims. Unlawful recruitment and use of child soldiers. In some places, children are forced to become soldiers. Organizers of child soldiers may be governments, militaries, or other groups. Sometimes children are taken from their families to become soldiers, servants, or spies. Girls are sometimes forced to marry. So, how do governments combat human trafficking? Combat means to fight or try to stop. Many countries, including the United States, work to stop human trafficking. Governments and groups often partner together to follow a 3P rule: prosecution, protection, and prevention. Prosecution means punishing those who are responsible for human trafficking. Protection involves helping trafficking victims. One way to help is to let victims remain in the country, work, and receive services. Prevention means trying to stop more trafficking. The 3Ps help each other. Over time, there will be more ways to stop and prevent trafficking. All right, let's do our activities. we have writing and quiz. Let's read our writing assignment. Explain what human trafficking is and 5 different types of human trafficking that we mentioned in this article. Don't Google the answer for this. Just read the article and get the answer there. Then answer, have you ever seen or heard of someone in a similar situation? That could be in the United States, your country, or even on TV or a movie. Explain why your example is human trafficking. If you say no, which I think if you try very hard, you can think of an example. If you say no to this, then answer this question. No, then answer, what factors make a situation child labor rather than a job for a person under age 18? Now, always write in your own words. Do not copy from Google. If you are working together, you should have answers that are independent and your own words, not each other's words. You're not sharing the answer. When you are finished, remember, when you're finished, you have to hit submit. Then go back and do your quiz. Okay, if you have any questions, send me a message on Remind.